The DNC, that is the Democratic National Committee, for of course, the Democratic Party. They have a new vice chair. Now, they have a bunch of vice chairs. They have in fact, the DNC is made up of a bunch of people. And their new vice chair is somebody that we've all heard of, a guy named David Hogg. You'll remember David Hogg as he was in what was the name of the school? Marjorie Stoneman. Douglas. I'm so embarrassed I can't remember the name of the school. That they had a mass shooter, and Hogg was one of the people that was there. And a bunch of kids really embraced the idea of gun control. A bunch of kids did not embrace the idea of gun control. One of the fathers, Andrew
Stoneman Douglas High School.
That's right, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. But it was a big thing. It was a big deal when it comes to Second Amendment versus anti-Second Amendment. And David Hogg definitely fell on the anti-Second Amendment side. He's 25 years old now, and he was just
24.
Is he 24?
His birthday's not until April.
Okay.
He's a young baby.
He's about to be 25. He's 24 years old, and he is now a vice chair for the DNC. Rethink the way we've been doing things. This is what he says he's going to do. They're going to help rethink the way they've been doing things, and they're going to rid our party of its judgmental attitudes and do the work to win back every group we lost this year, from the working class to the young people. Funny thing is, he says he wants to rid the party of judgmental attitudes. If you follow him on any social media, especially Twitter, he is the king of judgmental attitudes. He is a snarky, snot-nosed, he's exactly what he's saying he's going to rid the DNC of. So he just got elected into the DNC, and now he's going to rid them of what he's been guilty of for I don't know how many years now. Here was his little mini acceptance speech. Nope, we don't have his okay. He's also, the other interesting thing is, and I know a lot of people, I think it's definitely worth concern as far as, we have this big anti-gunner who's now part of the DNC. I mean, how much more anti-gun could the DNC be? Number one. But I think he's made a huge mistake in that, the DNC, the Democrats in general just lost a big, huge election because of their extremist views.
Correct.
People really, truly said, "Hey, this is way too far. We want to get back to, an economy that makes sense." Some of the things he's actually stood for: abolishing ICE, completely abolishing ICE. I don't mean, reining them in. He's called for the abolishment of ICE, which is a big issue in the last election as far as why Trump got elected. Yeah, defund the police. He jumped on that bandwagon. He, of course, he embraces gun bans, and he wants to designate the NRA a terrorist organization. Young David Hogg here is an extremist in every sense of the word. He really, truly is. And all the things that the Democratic Party did wrong, he was neck deep in. And he kind of had this attitude of, hey, let young people lead. Well, okay, maybe you should figure out how to get there, or figure out, learn how to get an organization to a particular place, and, figure out why it is they lost, because he's every reason they lost. Now, I think it's always bad when an anti-gunner, gets a bigger megaphone, which I would argue that if you're a vice chair of the DNC, you get a slightly bigger megaphone. I don't know how much it's actually expanded, though. I mean, he's really done a good job of making his own big megaphone, so I'm not quite sure how much bigger his megaphone just got. But, you don't want somebody who's anti-gun, who's against your rights to keep and bear. You don't want them into any kind of position of power. It doesn't matter. But I will say this. From his comments when he won, I think there's a real case to be made that he just muzzled himself. He's going to get on this DNC committee, he's a vice chair now, and he's going to find out that it's not what he thinks it is. And it's kind of like, I don't know if if you ever worked for a company that has all these different divisions, maybe they have, they have legal and they have HR and they have marketing and they have sales and they have, this project manager and that project and whatever. They have all these different departments. And then maybe they're looking for a CEO or a new executive and they pick somebody from your department. You're all happy, like, oh, great. Finally, we have somebody that's going to solve our problem. And it's some problem that's real specific to your department, right? I don't know what it is. Like, there's not enough coffee creamer in the break room or whatever, right? And you think, great, one of us finally made it into the executive ranks. And they get there, and this new job as an executive has absolutely nothing to do with coffee creamer in the break room. And you start going, you used to be one of us, and now you're one of them, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying here is David Hogg doesn't understand the job. The job isn't to go be anti-gun. Like he's going to talk about gun bans and how we need to do this for guns or whatever. And the rest of this committee is going to say, hey man, we got to raise money. We have to vote on a budget. We have to get candidates in place. There's a whole different thing. There's no time left over for them to figure out how to be even more anti-Second Amendment. So I think he's unintentionally muzzled himself. Now, if he does spend a bunch of time on trying to figure out how to be even more anti-gun, I think that might be good news in that it's going to take away from the actual real work that the DNC would have to do to be effective, because this isn't going to make him effective. So on the one hand, never good when an adversary who disagrees and wants to take your civil rights away gets a position of power. However, I think he has no idea what he's doing. He stepped into a position that's going to take his ability to further his anti-gun message away more than it's going to give him more of the ability to, advance his message. And the other thing is his track record is atrocious. He's accomplished absolutely nothing. He's not done a single thing. He hasn't gotten anybody elected. All he's done is kind of spouted off on Twitter. He got a lot of people to show up at an outdoor event at one point, but that wasn't even really him. So anyway, I think it should probably be very, very interesting. Any opinion, guys, on David Hogg being a new vice chair for the DNC?
It's going to backfire. He has no life experience. He's coming from a generation of peers that. I don't know how honest. Can I be honest?
You can be honest.
Gosh, whiny babies.
Watch it.
Just
It's the
what's that, Sam?
he said, "Watch it."
Sam,
He's in that generation. You guys are the same age, aren't you?
But I think Sam, you're like my husband. You were born 40 and just aged from there. Like you were classy. You were outside that. But it's just he just likes to yell and scream because I'm
temper
watching
tantrum.
these. Yeah, he has little fits on camera, and I don't know. I'm not impressed, and I think
not
it's going to
either.
backfire.
He is kind of a
He's a whiny little.
yeah. He is kind of a dainty young man, isn't he?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's just the left. I mean, that's all I can say. Like, I don't really expect much anymore, and so nothing seems to surprise me at this point. So with everything that he stands for and everything that you've said, it doesn't surprise me anymore.
It just feels like the left went too far. The Democrats went too far. They figured it out, or at least they were given that message in the last election. Like it was made crystal clear to them, hey, you guys went too far with some of these extremist beliefs. And it feels like electing a guy like David Hogg, they're doubling down on their mistakes.
They're not changing.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, he says they're going to change, but it's like they just hired the fox to look after the hen house.
Was he? No. Did they pick him? I'm just trying to think of what their motives could be. He's like you said, he has no history, but he's like a social media.
But maybe they're trying to appeal to the younger generation
Right.
by putting someone that's 25 and has this
Right.
whole social media platform,
But-
right? Like, because they're
exactly
trying to
right.
bring this younger generation up now, right?
I mean, to his credit, kid went off to college, got his degree, got as deep into politics as he possibly could. He wants to change the world. Great.
And he's a young politician.
Yeah, I think he's trying real hard here, but I don't think this is going to resonate. I don't think this is going to be good. In fact, I hope it's bad. I don't know. Sam, what do you think?
Controversy time.
The what?
Some listeners may take issue with what I'm about to say, but
Fire away.
you did
Fire
ask
away. We
for my
like it.
opinion. And I do have a degree in my degree is in international affairs, which is within political science. So hopefully I have a little bit of understanding of this, but I don't know.
Credibility.
Sam is much more
Credibility,
qualified.
sure. Scare quotes, credibility. I disagree on why the Democrats took such a pasting in this past election. I think what the issue was, I think where they failed is that they failed to appeal to what has historically, so past couple decades or so, what has historically been their base. And I think that by nominating someone whose main qualification is as what you could call a community organizer, they hope to be able to energize their base again, number one. And number two, they're well aware that the electorate is changing demographically a little bit. And really plainly stated, as was already said, I think they're trying to appeal to younger voters, which, to be clear, is a good strategy. Because if you try to appeal to the same block of voters, those voters will age, and then you'll run out of voters, and that's not really sustainable. So while I don't like David Hogg for a number of reasons, and I find his politics loathsome, and I don't like his attitude or his way of doing things, I am in some way appreciative to see younger people getting into politics like that, because I'm disappointed that many of the people in Congress, for example, are the same people who were in Congress 20 years ago, and they were really old then, let alone now. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes over, because he is really, really good at shooting his mouth off and saying some dumb thing in front of everyone. So
I truly wonder, do you think that in 4 years, it boils down to this. In 4 years, do you think that the presidential candidate, the Democratic choice for president, their candidate, do you think that that person's going to get one more vote because David Hogg is the vice chair in the DNC?
I don't, and here's why. Well, maybe one more vote is a little bit of an extreme way to put it, but I don't think he'll be successful in turning around the Democratic Party. And here's why. If you look at everyone knows that his big thing is gun control. That's how he made a name for himself, really. That's how he catapulted himself into a place of celebrity, was by making noise about gun control. And saying a lot of really asinine things on the internet and getting into arguments and screaming matches about gun control. But if you look at the demographics within the gun owner community that have been the most rapidly growing, even before he became politically active, they were the exact groups where the Democratic Party did unexpectedly poorly in these past elections. So I think that he will have the effect of dissuading a lot of people who are gun owners but were not very, politically active or politically aware. And that may very well outweigh any gains in the younger generation that he might bring. That all of the above said, again, I don't particularly like him. I disagree with his politics and I disagree with his style. But please, anyone who's listening to this, stop harassing him on the internet. It makes us look bad. It makes the rest of us look bad. I'm serious. I'm tired of seeing people go online on Twitter or whatever, and just leaving these vitriolic, hateful comments under everything he posts. Like, you're not changing anyone's mind to agree with you by calling him names and stuff like that to his face, and just making these really, really insulting, defamatory remarks. It just makes the rest of us who disagree with him for more legitimate reasons look like a bunch of hateful jerks.
You're probably right, but it's just something I like to do.
Maybe
That's Mike.
maybe David Hogg and Tim Kennedy can get together.
I was just going to say, why don't we introduce the two of them? They could probably be gun control activists together.
I do wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if Kennedy is going to go in like some kind of. I did kind of wonder that. Like, I wonder if he would go in some direction, like an anti-gun direction, like a really true
You
anti-gun.
can introduce him to David. It seems like he's got the best platform already.
All right, here's the next one.
I want to see what I want to see is if you want to make it a 4-way match, Tim Kennedy versus David Hogg versus Carl Casarda versus I don't know, dealer's choice, Dugan Ashley maybe.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. I hope the guy just disappears. To be honest